Hey, you guys. Okay, so I need to share another prophetic word with y'all, and this one is called They Know. Okay, I wasn't sure what the title to set first, and then right before I was about to record, I heard God say it. He said, They know. Okay, He says, They know now. So, I'm praying I can do my best to explain this the way God showed it to me. And so, this message is combined from previous messages He's given me towards the end of last year. The message Death to the Past and Christmas is coming early for some. He referred me back to that message, and he also referred me back to the dream that he led me to title Death to the Past as well. And so, okay, so let me start from the beginning. So, towards the end of last year, possibly around October or November, he was showing a lot of us that the prodigals were coming home, right? That a lot of prodigals were about to start coming home. And he was talking about exposure, and clearing up some things just exposing different things to them that they weren't aware of, okay? But he was calling the prodigals home. And he started talking about that in October, right? And he did also in a dream he gave me around that time. He mentioned that the prodigals will be coming home brokenhearted. And that's in a dream where I think it's titled Pride Comes Before the Fall. They will be brought low and God is looking at their heart. He said they were coming home, but they were coming home brokenhearted. Okay, so he was doing that around that time. He had already started doing it towards the end of last year. But what he said was he was going to have to continue because everyone wasn't listening around that time, okay? Everyone wasn't receiving what he was saying around that time. And so, okay, let me just start here. So there was a customer that I delivered to in November of last year, of 2023. And this particular customer, when I got to her home, this was actually a grocery order. And when I got to her home, she wasn't there. And I can leave stuff outside if I'm given permission by the customer, but she didn't leave permission in the notations for me to leave it outside. So without her permission, I wasn't allowed to. And y'all, I'm always the one that get caught. If anybody else break the rules, they can do it 10 times over. But if I do it, I'm always the one that get caught. So, I wanted to make sure I had her consent because I didn't want to get in trouble. And so it may not have been okay with her if I left it outside. So anyways, I call her, I message her, and I get no response. She's not answering. She's not responding to any of my text messages. So I wait outside for her for a good 10 minutes. And I know the rules of my job to where if they're not there, I don't have to wait. I really don't. I just take the stuff back to the store and they'll compensate me for that. But because, I figured she needed the items. These were grocery items. I didn't want her and her family to be without. I waited a lot longer than I'm supposed to. And it delayed me from delivering my other orders. I had other orders after her and they were late because I was waiting. I was trying to wait for her. And so anyways, after around 10 minutes, I went ahead and called my job and I asked them to reach out to her, hoping that maybe they could reach her. And they said they couldn't reach her either. And they told me to take the items back to the store, which I really did not want to do because I figured she really needed them, okay? And in this part of this message, God was just sharing with me that he knows what we need, okay? He thinks about our needs more than we do. He is concerned about it, okay? And so I asked my job if it was possible if I just left the items at her doorstep, even though we couldn't reach her. And they said no, without her consent, I had to take it back. So I had to take her grocery order back to the store. I've never had to return a grocery order before, and I felt really bad about it. But she was unreachable. And what God was showing me there was around last year, towards the end of last year, when he was calling certain prodigals, some responded, some were listening, but some were unresponsive. Okay? Just like that woman was not responding to any of my calls, any of my texts, God said some of them were unresponsive. All right? And he also showed me that he had told some of them had very strong, there was some strongholds, right? Some of them had witchcraft that was done on them, just different things and strongholds that they were battling. And God had led well, he was showing me, he led some of us to pray for them, to break those strongholds, okay? So that happened towards the end of last year, where God was working, but everybody wasn't responding. Everybody wasn't listening. So that woman couldn't get her delivery then because she was unresponsive. Had she just texted me one time and said, yes, you could leave it outside, I would have delivered it, right? If God would have gotten any response from them, but they were unresponsive, okay? So fast forward now. Last week, y'all, I ended up having to deliver to that same woman again, okay? And let me just rewind a little bit, because when I couldn't deliver her order and she was unresponsive and I had to take it back to the store, when I was 5 minutes from the store, then she calls me back. But I'm on the phone with my job and I wasn't able to answer, and I had to wait till I finished up with my job before I can call her back. So she's calling me back. She's texting me. She's really upset, asking where her order is. And she was a little rude. And when I was able to, I called her back and I let her know that she has to leave a notation giving us permission to leave those items outside. And like I said, she was still pretty rude and got off the phone mad. And, but I did what I could. I tried my best or whatever. And so anyways, fast forward now. Last week, I get the same order again, the same woman. And I'm nervous upon going there because of the previous time I tried, but I'm actually able to deliver her order this time because she took my advice and she put it on the notations that it could be left at her door. And she was home as well this time. So she put in the notes, you could just leave it at the door, which I did. And she was also home. So what God was showing me is they've received it now, okay? They know now, he said. They didn't know, like before, they weren't receiving it. They were unresponsive when God was trying to reach out to a lot of the prodigals before. But he said now, they know now, okay? And even some people have recently woken up to, the call that God has had on their life. And so he was referring to that as well, saying they know now. They know now. Before they didn't, but now they do, okay? There was different things that he highlighted throughout this message. He did talk about prodigals a lot. Some prodigals, they're a part of these kingdom marriages, that we've talked about, these God-ordained marriages. And a lot of them are entertaining counterfeits. And God has revealed to them who their wife is or who their husband is. And God is saying they know now. Before, they didn't know, right? Before they didn't know, but now they know now. That's what he was saying. They know now. So there's no excuse. There's no doubts. They know, okay? And God knows they know. And even when the enemy tries to cause confusion, God says he still knows that they know, okay? And so he referred to the prodigals in that aspect. And then he also referred to people who God has been calling you to move. All right. There's a heavy transition going on right now. And God has been calling you to move. And you may have wondered, you weren't sure before, you asked for confirmations, some of the prodigals did too. And God gave y'all that. He gave you the confirmations and he said, now he knows, And like I said, even when the devil tries to play, he says y'all still know. That's what he said. He was so, this is like, you're sure. He knows that okay? So he mentioned that. He mentioned for those who need to move, and this can be moving from a home. This could be even moving from a church. God has been calling some people out of certain churches. This could even be leaving a job. Whatever this thing is in your life, God was saying that and you're aware. And before you didn't know, and you may have been praying about it, but now you know, okay? So here's the message and here's the warning he's giving me for y'all. Now that he knows that there are certain things, steps, certain things you're supposed to do after you're aware. If you're with someone and that's not your spouse and God has revealed to you who your spouse is, what you would need to do is to leave that counterfeit relationship. You would need to end that relationship, right? That would be a first step, right? That's just an example. If he told you to leave a job, you would be needing to make plans to leave that job. If he told you to move, you would need to be packing, and so on and so on. if he told you, whatever he told you to do, there are steps he's been giving you, but the thing is, he's saying some people haven't even started making the first steps. Some people, he showed you who your wife is, or he showed you who your husband is, and you're still entertaining another person. And he says, you know better now. Okay. He knows you know better now. Okay. And just apply that to all the other areas we talked about. So here's the warning, you guys. Since he's aware that time is of the essence. The next transition that's taking place is pretty hefty and it's life-changing. These are new beginnings. And he's ready for the reversal. As the reversal's taking place, something that he brought in mind was him, a lot of people, him transitioning people and a lot of people coming out of their wilderness. A lot of people will be coming out of their wilderness season and other people will be entering their wilderness season. But he needs to first move you out of the way, right? So if it's someone you're around pertaining to any of these areas, he's trying to transition you out of the way, and then they'll be entering into their wilderness as well. And time is of the essence. So since you know, and he knows that you know without any, you really know, okay? Like I said, even when the devil tries to play, you still know. The warning is you've had time to end those relationships. You've had time to set boundaries, right? You've had time to prepare, to pack. You've had time to do what you needed to physically do on your end. He's giving you time to do that. Whether it's to set boundaries, whether it's to pack, whether it's to leave, that environment, that place, that church, that business, whatever it is, he's giving you time. So if you don't go ahead and do it on your own soon, he's going to do it for you. That's the warning, okay? He said death to the pest, and he said they know now. So if you don't do what you need to do regarding those areas, he will do it for you. All right, y'all, and this is not the easiest word to give. This is something he brought to mind. For instance, if you don't end the relationship with that counterfeit person on your own, that person could very well leave this world early, okay? That's the best way I know how to say it. God gave me an example of this couple, a man and a woman, and this woman knew that this man was not her husband. God revealed it to her, but she didn't know how to stop talking to him, and she didn't create the boundaries, and she wouldn't just leave him alone, and that young man died before his time because it was... These people that I'm hearing and feeling this for too, these are God's chosen few. He referenced the Bible story of Jonah for was it Jonah? Okay, it was Jonah. It was Jonah who disobeyed God. God told Jonah to go to Nineveh. God gave Jonah an assignment. Jonah understood the assignment, okay? This is what God is saying. He's saying you understand the assignment. You understand the assignment. He has given you plenty of confirmations. He said you know. He said they know. He said you understand the assignment. So Jonah understood the assignment was to go to Nineveh, right? And send a warning that God had told him to send. But Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh. Jonah ran and he fled as he was trying to get as far away from Nineveh as possible. He got on a boat, right? And I believe it was a storm that God brought on the boat. And the storm didn't cease until Jonah was tossed overboard and he was swallowed by a great fish, right? And that's what God compared this to, okay? God has given a lot of us assignments, right? And he needs us to prepare for it. He needs us to do the things that he told us to do that are going to lead us in the direction of those places he's trying to take us. And we already know some of the first step things we need to do. And that's what he's requiring of us right now, okay? And he was showing me how Jonah had the opportunity. Jonah had multiple opportunities to stop running from God. Jonah chose to get on a boat. He didn't have to get on a boat. Okay, so bottom line, y'all, this is what God was showing me. If you do not set those boundaries in those relationships, do the things you need to do, prepare to move forward or whatever move he's calling you to do right now. If you don't do these things on your own accord, and like I said, he would do it for you. He will do it for you. So Jonah had plenty of opportunities to turn back, and go and obey God and head to Nineveh. right? Because I was wondering, why did God allow Jonah to get so far? Why did he allow him to actually get on a boat? God was trying to give Job not Job, y'all, I'm sorry. He was trying to give Jonah the opportunity to do it himself, okay? God could have stopped Jonah before he ever got on the boat, but God was trying to give Jonah the opportunity to turn around and go the direction God was calling him into himself. He was trying to let Jonah do it on his own, okay? But Jonah didn't. He got on a boat anyways. He got on a boat anyways. And what God was saying here is he's been giving us the opportunity to do those things. He's already been giving us the opportunity to end those relationships, walk away from those old relationships, to set boundaries. But if you do not, right, just like Jonah did not take the opportunities God gave him, Jonah had to get tossed overboard and swallowed by a whale. And what God showed me is if Jonah was not tossed overboard, the people on that boat, their lives could have been ended because Jonah was out of place. Okay? So that's what he was showing me. Jonah was out of place, and because he was out of place, everybody on that boat was in danger because he was there. So you're in a relationship out of place with someone, God has told you it's not for you. He's shown you the person you're supposed to be with. That person is in danger as long as you're there, okay? That's how God was showing me this. God was going to have his way in Jonah's life, period. Because Jonah, like I said, some of y'all are like God's chosen few. God is not going, he could have replaced Jonah. He could have chose to replace Jonah because Jonah ran away, but he didn't. Instead, he allowed Jonah to be swallowed up by a big fish, okay? And so Jonah could come to himself and head in the direction that God told him to, okay? Because he had a purpose and a plan for Jonah's life, just like he has for so many of y'all. So those are the different ways he showed this to me. And also, let me use this one last example. I had a friend, y'all listen to the dream, Death to the Past, if you get a chance, because it's pertaining to this word. And in that dream, I was sharing with y'all that I had a friend who God was showing me needed to set boundaries with her mother. Her mother, she's always felt like the mother to her own mother. Her mother has always asked way too much of her. And it's to the point that my friend has never really been able to live her own life, and God has a purpose and plan for her life. And God was showing me that her mother had been getting in her way, that her mother had been getting in the way of his will for her life. And he gave me the warning to start praying for her mother in their situation, because if my friend did not exercise boundaries with her mother, God will remove her mother from this earth before her time. And this was the actual conversation that me and him had. So y'all, this is not like the easiest word to give, but I still had to give it. This is a warning, and God is just saying that they know. For whoever this is for, prodigals, they know they've received the call, right? They received the call. They know they had to leave some places. They know they had to leave some relationships. For those he's calling to move and transition, okay? You received the call. You've gotten your confirmations, So he expects you to be doing, what he told you to do in preparation. That could be packing, or that could be actually looking at some places. And he knows you might be afraid, but he wants you to trust him. He wants you to trust that where he's taking you is better. He says, okay? Same thing with prodigals, because he did bring up fear. A lot of people are scared. They're scared to end relationships. They're scared to walk away from these old places. But God just needs y'all to trust him. He needs y'all to trust him and know that where he's taking you is way better. Also, this customer that I had, the one that where she actually received her delivery this time, she tipped me $8 and some change or whatever, and 8 is the number for new beginnings. And God was saying, a lot of y'all, this transition is huge. This is a big one. And a lot of y'all are walking into your new beginnings. But you first have to let go of that old thing. You have to let go of that old relationship, that old place, that old position, so he can walk you into the new ones that he has for you. But he can't do that as long as you're holding on, and time is of the essence. So if you don't do it on your own accord, he will do that for you, okay? And that place or that position will get very uncomfortable for you if you don't do it on your own, okay? And that's the warning, all right, y'all? I love y'all. Hope I explained that well. I love y'all, and y'all be blessed.